Hello and welcome to Breezy Chatter. Today I'm going to be talking about Temptation Island Season 5 started this week. And boy oh boy, did it start on a high note. Of course, we have our host Mark Wahlberg. The Temptation Island cast is in Hawaii. And I must say that they did shake things up a little bit in the first episode. We had some changes. And we'll start with the first change, which was a bonfire. The couples met Mark before splitting up and going to their respective spaces, and this was Mark's opportunity to ask each couple a burning question. And that burning question was, why are you here? So let's start with our first couple. We have Caitlin, who's 31, and Hall, who's 35. They've been engaged for 1 year and been together for 8 years. Yes, 8 years. They did take a break for about a year and a half. What was quite interesting about Caitlin and Hall is that Caitlin believed that Hall took a break because he might have had some jitters about the relationship progressing, about marriage, children, and thought maybe he just needed a break to think about the progression of their relationship. Meanwhile, Hall confessed that he wanted a break because he wanted to explore other women. And that seemed to be news to Caitlin. She seemed surprised to hear Hall say that. So it sounds like Hall just wanted to sow his royal oats before he tied himself down to Caitlin. But the problem with Caitlin is that they have been engaged for a year and she's not excited about making plans for their wedding. And if you ask me, I think that's because they took a break for a year and a half and she probably doesn't believe that this wedding is going to happen. So she's not so quick to want to make plans because she's not sure if the plans will fall through or push ahead. So I think that's why she's not in a rush. Now, mind you, it was Hall who wanted the break. So she's probably wondering, if I plan this wedding, is Hall gonna want another break? Is Hall gonna ghost me right before the wedding? Is Hall gonna leave me standing at the altar? So I think that's why she's not so happy and excited about wedding plans. This couple, to me, is on shaky ground because they have been together too long. They should have been married already. If it takes you 8 years to figure out if you want to be with someone, usually they're not the one. Usually they're the placeholder until you find something better. Couples who have been together that long typically don't get married. And if they do, the marriage doesn't last long. The next couple we have is Rob and Vanessa. Rob is 24, Vanessa is 34. So we've got the older woman, younger man dynamic. Some people would call her a cougar, a cradle robber. I don't know. I just think that there's always going to be some problems when there's such a large age gap in relationships, unless the younger person is extremely mature and has their head on straight, or the older person is immature on some levels and they sort of just connect. Vanessa questions Rob's loyalty and maturity level. She says that she has high standards and she's not going to lower her standards to be with any man. And we have Rob saying that Vanessa views him as a little boy and she thinks the world revolves around her. That's because this is a mother-son dynamic. Although, yes, of course, we know that she's not his mother. She's not old enough to be his mother, but she's treating him like a little boy. She's treating him like someone who doesn't have the knowledge that she does. And that's because he doesn't. She has 10 years on him. So it's like, how could you have such high standards for a man who hasn't even lived as long as you have? Not even by a couple years. We're talking about a decade. You are a decade older than this guy. What do you expect from him? And he's 24. Please. Something interesting happened while they were at the bonfire. It started raining. And Vanessa was having a hissy fit about the rain. She needed an umbrella as soon as possible, and Rob was embarrassed. And he was trying to get her to calm down because she was really acting like a diva. Like, if she snaps her fingers, the umbrella was supposed to just appear, and she just wants service. So I just wonder if she treats him as though he's her servant, because the way she was like, I need an umbrella, like she wanted him to run Where, I don't know, but to run somewhere and get her an umbrella. So Rob was embarrassed, and I was embarrassed for Rob because, come on, lady, you're in Hawaii. You mean to tell me you don't expect there to be any rain? You don't expect to ever get your hair wet? Possibly in the shower, possibly in the pool. You don't expect to get your hair wet? Come on, stop it. I just thought that was a bit much. You should have planned to get your hair wet. And Mark, he seemed a little disturbed by Vanessa's rantings about her standards, and he did ask her if she was looking for a man that she could mold into what she wanted, or if she wanted an equal partner. And that was a good question for her because she couldn't really answer it. But it sounds like in this situation, she's looking to mold Rob to be the man that she wants him to be. And she's not giving him the grace to be 24 years old, finding his way. She is on him about everything. He must feel like he's dating his mom. He has to. What Vanessa needs to understand is that Rob is his own man, and she has to accept him for who he is, where he is in his life right now. And if she can't do that, she needs to leave him alone. The next couple is Christopher and Maricela. Christopher's 30, Maricella's 24. They've been together for 2 years, and they explained to Mark that they just can't get along. They are always arguing, butting heads. They are two strong personalities. Christopher says that he's open to communication. Meanwhile, Maricela, she just turns into a wall. She doesn't want to talk. And their biggest problem is communication. And Christopher also did admit that in his 20s, he was a respectable whore. So he's only 30. How long has it been since he's given up his hoish ways? I'd like to know. And I think this is not the right platform or setting for Christopher because he's just going to revert back to his old ways. It hasn't been that long since he was ripping and running the streets. They've been together for 2 years and they can't seem to communicate. So I don't know how being on a show like Temptation Island is going to help them to communicate. Maybe the therapy sessions or bonfire sessions that they have with Mark is going to help them. But I don't know. This relationship just doesn't seem like it's very promising. And the next couple is Great and Paris. Great is 25, Paris is 23. And Paris wanted to come to the show to hopefully help push the relationship forward. She's ready for a ring. And she says that Great speaks to her like she doesn't know anything. He talks down to her. And he says that she's just easily triggered. She also said that Great has cheated on her on more than one occasion. And Great's answer to that was, if she's bringing him to Temptation Island, then she couldn't possibly love him. So it sounds like Great is going to capitalize on this free time that he has, but it sounds like he's been capitalizing on his free moments anyway, since he's been cheating on her in the relationship. And I don't think anything different is going to happen while they're on Temptation Island. And it sounds like all of these couples need work. I think there's only one couple here that might have a chance, and that is Caitlyn and Hall. But I still give them the side eye because they've been together for too long. All the other relationships, I don't see them leaving the island together. So another change happened. After the bonfire, they allowed the couples to spend one night together. Rob and Vanessa was still coming down from her being upset about her hair getting wet. And Rob said he didn't want to argue with her. He just wants to have a good night. You know, they're going to be away from each other for a while. They managed to smooth things over and they had a very nice night together. The night cam showed us just how good of a night they had. And then the next day, the couples got to meet the 16 singles. Instead of each single coming up, introducing themselves and saying something cheeky, because that's what usually happens, they decided that they were just going to have a big party with the couples and the singles. So we got to see some interesting things happening during the party. So Hall, he got really comfortable and he just wanted to introduce himself to all the women. Caitlyn did say, Hall, what are you doing? And he says, I'm getting in trouble. So he's already telling her, I'm getting in trouble. I haven't even been to the villa yet where you will be totally out of sight. And I am getting into trouble. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. And then we have Paris. She's seen talking to one of the singles. His name is Tajik. And it looks like Great had a problem with that. He was quite jealous. And he was telling Paris that Tajik is not a good guy. And then we have Vanessa. She's very preoccupied with what Rob is doing. Christopher also had his eye on Maricela. He saw her talking to some guys, and he immediately called her over. And she just dropped what she was doing and went straight to him. The guys noticed that instantly, and they said, oh, he's got her under his thumb. And Christopher sort of attested to that by saying that he's known Maricela for over 700 some odd days. In all of that time, they've only been apart for 11 days. He's taking tally of all the days that they're not together. I think that's weird. So we got to see how Christopher has an issue with oversharing. He was sitting with Maricela and a couple of women were there, and they were asking them questions about what they want out of their relationship. And Christopher was just about to tell these women something very personal and private about Maricela. He told these women that Maricela wants something else. So of course that piqued their interest and they wanted to know, what is it? Well, what does she want? And he turned to her and she sort of gave him the look like, no. And he said, okay, I won't share. But then she decided to share. Maricela told them that she is looking for a sister wife. She wants to add another woman to their relationship. And once she said that, Christopher just continued talking and saying that he had heard some things about how Maricela was being pleasured in ways that he couldn't even imagine. And he felt like it was an ego check. And all he did was, instead of being hurt and upset about it, he just took notes and learned how to be a better lover to Maricela. And of course, everybody's sort of intrigued and listening to what Chris is saying. Meanwhile, Maricela is mortified and embarrassed, and she's walked away. And she said she's attracted to women. It's something that her family doesn't know about, her friends don't know about. But now everyone's going to know, her coworkers, whomever. And she was saying how Chris has this problem with oversharing. And in Chris's defense, although he tried to out her, once he realized she didn't want that information shared, he shut his mouth. But I will say that he did not have to take it further and talk about her experiences with other women. What I found more concerning about that situation is that she did feel violated in a sense, because Chris just kept talking about their relationship and her experiences outside of their relationship. When she got up and left, he did not go after her. He just continued to talk. This clearly shows that their communication is way off. I think in that moment, she should have just told him, can we stop talking about this? Let's talk about something else. Because it's really none of their business what she's done with other women outside of their relationship or before their relationship. So she's looking lost. She's looking upset. She looks like if she could just pack up and leave, she would. And on some levels, I don't blame her, because he was really insensitive of her feelings. But at the same time, she really needed to be clear with him that we're not discussing this with anyone, period. I also think there's a huge controlling component this season. Rob and Vanessa's extremely controlling. So I think the minute Rob gets out of her sight and is exposed to different women, he's going to lose his mind. We also have Christopher and Maricela. Christopher is very controlling. Once Maricela gets away from him, I think she's going to have a great time as well. And we also have Great, who seems to be quite controlling of Paris. He's questioning who she's talking to. She only had a conversation. And I think as soon as she gets some time away from him, she's also going to want to leave the island alone. So I think 3 couples are not going to make it. I think that Rob is going to run for his life, and so is Maricela, and so is Paris. But we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. And that is my commentary. If you liked it, hit like, subscribe, and leave comments. Thank you for your time. Until next time, ta-ta.